What we need to do is we need to also celebrate when a Nyama Mama opens up and puts up and sells ugali and nyama choma, and they sell it for a higher price. We should be and take the ugali and they cut it into a nice little round, presentable one. Because Africans want to see ugali just all over the plate. We want to see ourselves on the other side of the plate. But what we should be doing is we should be saying, wow, so we are beginning to put value into our own food or into our own products. So that's how we're going to make Made in Africa a really, really success, if we begin to put that value in. So yes, there's a challenge. Is it appropriation or is it appreciation? I think it's a bit of both. It's appreciation because they are seeing the value that we have overlooked. It's appropriation because they have integrated it into their own work. But we should not worry about it.
No, we shouldn't.
What we should be doing is we should be showing them how to do it properly for ourselves for a better price, because we are holding the authenticity license.
Yeah, nobody can take that away, right?
Nobody can take that away from you.
I mean, talking about, sort of being able to compete globally, I think that's part of the African challenge, though, is that, we make things, and we've got like slippers and lots of African things that are made, but then you look at the way they're finished, and I think that's the thing, is that we need to start having our standards globally.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
Well, and that's what I said, and maybe I narrowed it down to food with Nyama Mama. That's exactly what happened. Is they said, let's up the standards. Like you say, when you go, we are very crafty with our culture.
Yeah.
Whereas the West looks at our culture and they said, let's not call it craft. Let's move it up a notch and put a proper price into it. Let's finish our things properly. Let's use the highest quality material, and they get it from us, by the way.
Yeah.
They get the materials from here. So it's not a matter of saying that perhaps we don't have access to the same way for the same, and they use our labor to do that.
Absolutely.
So they use our products, our labor, and our identity to create products and sell them back to us at a premium. Now you look at the beers, for example. A diamond is a gold's best friend.
Yeah.
And a diamond was a diamond is forever.
Yeah.
I mean, they were. African products, African brands. They built that brand as a premium brand from the beginning, and they sell it as a premium brand everywhere else. Of course, the challenge has been that for many years it was all sold out of London, but now it's the whole value chain is being brought down to Botswana, into Africa. So we need to put the value, the quality into our work, and then we can demand the same premium.
And we need to be proud of the work that we do.
We need to be proud of who we are, because that's the beginning. I think it's Fela Kuti says, I must identify with Africa, then I will have an identity.
Yeah.
So you need to identify, you need to take pride in who you are, because if you take pride in who you are and then you apply it to everything you do, and then everybody else will see that.
Yeah, and everyone can tell when you're proud of what you do, right? I think that's the thing. The other thing, Thebe, is the whole sort of middle class in Africa that's growing. And, you look at in a place like Nigeria, where I was recently, and I think some of the towns only have like one shopping mall, and for such a huge continent. Do you think we've missed out on the retail part of Africa in a way?
Well, it depends which way you are. You go to South Africa, it's over-retailed.
Yeah.
I mean, South Africa has got more, number 5 in the world in terms of the number of malls.
Really?
It's over-mallified. Wow. I think you come to Kenya, Kenya's getting there as well. I'm beginning to see malls everywhere else coming up. So our challenge first we need to build industries. We need to build industries so that we can build products that are made in our countries and made in up. Then we can create the retail so that we then can buy in those retails. We can compete in those retails
and create jobs.
And create jobs. Because if we don't build factories, then we're importing. And if you're importing, you're not making as much money as you've been making the products yourself. And the people take the profits out of the country, back to their countries, and you're left with very little. And the people are employed in just menial jobs, just retail jobs. So, but having said so, the middle class is growing quite extraordinarily exponentially in the continent. But the challenge that the middle class have to have now is they have to also invest in Africa. They have to keep their money here, because it doesn't help to make all the money in Africa and then take it in suitcases out to Dubai and go build a mansion in Dubai or in Chelsea, in London, or all those, while the street leading from the airport to your house is got potholes, and the place where you shop in your own country does not look like the ones that you insist on outside of your country.
But then it comes back to the reputation of your own country. Then it's got to be that kind of, you kind of have to feel you know, you have to feel that it's safe to invest there, right? I think that's part of it. A lot of people
yeah,
invest outside because they want to be certain of
they
that
want to be
investment's
certain
going
that
to
the
be
money
there.
will be protected, that they can find it. Yes, it's but then it's part of the conversation we had earlier, that we need to put in place the leaders who look after us, not the leaders who look after themselves. So the challenge we have as African leadership is, you know, I think Salif Johnson has just left now. He says, Africa is not poor. Africa just has poor leaders. So what we need to do is we need to put in leaders who are benevolent. And you know, we have proven that we have that type of leadership in the continent. I mean, if you look at the first generation of leaders, we still reference them now because we know what we are capable of. If we were capable of that, we still have it, we can still do it now. I mean, you look at some of the innovations that are coming out of our countries, our continent now, it shows there's potential.
Oh yes, there's so much innovation going on this continent. It's incredible, and the talent.
We need to put the leaders in power that, that look after our interests and not their self-interest. We need to hold them accountable. If they're not performing, we need to kick them out, put them in jail, do whatever it takes to ensure that they are not there for themselves but for us. We need to ensure that these leaders understand that they are not gods, that they are servants. All these politicians need to understand.
We need to demand that, right?
But all these politicians need to understand they are beneath us.
Yeah.
I do not understand why on a highway I need to move out for a politician who alone drives around with 10 cars. I don't understand that concept because there's something wrong with that idea. Because a month before he came into power, he was taking a matatu or was asking for lifts to go to work. Now that he's a minister,
you're suddenly getting out of the way.
Now I need to get out of his way so that he can pass. And not only that, he breaks the law because he doesn't stop at the lights. Second, he takes up too much space because he's got 2-3 cars when he really only needed 1 car. Fourth, he's abusing the people who work for abusing people who work for him because he underpays them while he overpays himself. So something is wrong in how we run our countries, and something is wrong in how we hold these people accountable.
Or do we, if we hold them accountable at all?
We actually do not hold them accountable.
I was going to say, we don't hold them accountable.
And many of them cannot stand to be counted.
No, exactly. And as soon as you start trying to hold them accountable, they start getting very defensive about their positions. So.
Correct, but it's the constitutions. You know, unfortunately, but I mean, we've had good instances now of Africans beginning to hold leaders accountable. You know, the fact that even here in Kenya, for example, where you've had for a second election
Supreme
and
Court,
a possible third one or not. Just that concept means that we've got good institutions, and also the fact that people, you know, if you look at the situation here, for example, you had elections, you have 98.2% for the incumbent, and the others stayed at home because their leader told them to stay at home. No leader should tell you to stay at home. You should say, don't tell me to stay at home. I am going to vote because I am actually voting for my future. So now the problem we have now is we're sitting and we're listening to our leaders telling us what to do. We should be telling them what to do. We should be saying, sorry Raila or sorry Uhuru, I am the one who's determining who is going to State House. So matter of fact, I need to vote. It's not about you. See, that's that imbalance that I talked about, that the power has shifted from the people to the politicians.
And we need to take that power back.
We need to take our power back.